So, hey, we're so excited for you guys to join us tonight. Thanks for taking time out of your crazy busy schedules. And we're so glad to have Mr. Greg with us. And we just want to have a fun and hopefully a very informative time and share some nuggets with you guys to help, the craziness that's happening. So, with that, Greg, I wanted to ask you, you've got a pretty good pulse on what's happening with your, fellow teachers out there and kids. Share with us what's happening. And then tell us a little bit of what's happening with you and your kids. And so we can all be on the same page together.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We've talked about this really from the beginning of the school year, that this is, and, speaking of, just personally, and from what we hear from teachers, this is the hardest school year we've experienced. And, we thought virtual school and hybrid school and all of that was hard last year. It doesn't compare to this year. It's just hard. And I think we are all experiencing that same feeling. So, I hope that the teachers who are here, I hope that they're inspired tonight. I hope that they get some ideas that they can use, some encouragement. I think just the connection, just to be here as a community is so powerful, because this year more than ever, we need to rely on one another. And so I'm glad that you all are here, and I'm hopeful that you are inspired by this. But it's just hard, Cynthia. There's just no other way to say it, and it doesn't. I was hopeful that as the year went on, things would settle, and I would adapt to what's happening. But it just seems like it just continues to stay hard, and it just gets harder and more tiring, and it's just a lot. Well, and the thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just saying, we talked a few days ago because, I'm not in the classroom. We work with teachers all over the country and trying to understand where everybody's at so we can be helpful. That's our thing. And that's why your perspective was so important in having this conversation tonight. And just kind of what are some of the top, we're not going to be able to help with all the pain points out there, but what are some of the pain points that, teachers, our audience is feeling right now with them and their kids?
Yeah, I think the just complete overwhelmed. We are completely overwhelmed. We are drowning, and nothing is getting taken off of our plates. It's just more stuff keeps getting added to the plate. And when we talked a few days ago, I mentioned, I feel like districts are basically just throwing anything and everything they can at us to try to solve whatever they think is happening. And so we're just being bombarded with stuff. And what that's doing is that's keeping us from actually focusing on teaching our kids, because all this stuff is coming at us constantly. And so we're trying to juggle and figure all of this stuff out, but yet we can't teach the kids because we have all of this stuff. And so I think we're just completely overwhelmed. And it's just, and I said this to my principal a while back, it's just not humanly possible to do everything that districts are asking of us. And yeah, Holly just says there's not enough time in the day. There absolutely is not enough time in the day. And so that it's just completely overwhelming.
Right. Yeah. And I know we've been hearing, teachers, they're feeling bad, trying to get the kids caught up, keeping them engaged. You got the mental health, obviously the well-being that, not only for us as teachers, but what about the kids? And so I think tonight we wanted to kind of focus on that. How can we help in that well-being for all of us? Yeah. And and maybe how do we kind of catch up and help with the learning a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think with
And,
that, go ahead.
And, another thing is the behaviors this year, I think too, have been challenging. And it's, people are like, what do you think it is? What do you think it is? Well, number one, it's because we're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
And we are all just, I think, stressed because we've been in this constant state of fear and confusion and stress for the past now almost 3 years. And I think our kids are it's sometimes easy to forget that the kids are going through this as well. And so they're bearing that burden as well. But a big part of it with our kids is that our kids have been so isolated for the last 2 to 3 years because of the pandemic. And so they're coming to us with lower communication, lower ability to communicate, lower language skills, no independence or very little independence. Problem solving skills are lacking, communication skills, just social skills. And so all of that just makes our jobs even harder. And I think I mentioned to you the other day, I can never figure out the right word I want to use. But I always go back to intriguing or interesting, because as teachers, we are seeing in real time, day by day, the effects of what a pandemic can do on kids. And so we're seeing it in the lack of independence, the lack of social skills. Like, there's all this talk about, like, how is this affecting our kids? We know how it's affecting the kids because we're living it every day. And so we've seen what that has done to our, what that's done and how it's affected our kids. And, I'm kind of glancing at the comments, and, I see a lot of people talking about independence and problem solving skills. And it's like, my example is, my kids will spill something on the floor this year, and they just stand there and look at it and look at me. And I'm like, clean it up. Like, where in the past they would spill something and they'd get a towel and clean it up. And so it's just, the behaviors are challenging. And it's not because the kids are bad or they're worse. It's just because we're experiencing a pandemic, and the kids are too. And so they're going through the same things we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know we're only gonna be able to address a little bit, but I think we can help out. We're going to dive into the brain science, I think, now, that I think can be very helpful on some of these things, especially with the kids. So let's see if I can remember how to get back to my slides. All right, so here we go. So how can brain science help us understand and address emotional well-being? And that's what we're gonna talk about today, and see examples, and it'll be we'll have some fun activities. But the brain science that Greg and I are going to, reference is from Dr. Judy Willis. She's a neurologist and a classroom teacher. And that's what I love about her. How many people have, been neurologists and then they change and go into the classroom to teach. And the reason why she did that is there was a lot of parents bringing their kids to her because they were behavior issues, ADHD, and come to find out, they just didn't understand how the kids' brains were working and how to teach them more effectively. And so she wrote a book, Ignite Student Learning. And Greg, you love this book, right? It's like one of our favorites.
Yes. You recommended it to me, and so I read it. I highly recommend it. It's an easy read, and lots of practical classroom applications. And this book really is kind of what my classroom and my teaching are based on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had the privilege of Faith and I studied with her because, as we're innovating and doing working on new products and working with teachers, we want to make sure that we are utilizing the brain science so it's effective. So she's a real joy to to work with. So that's what we're basing this on. And here is the one thing that we're going to talk about with the brain, and it's called the amygdala. And the amygdala is it's almond shaped, what they call it, a structure inside deep into your brain. And it's the gateway for all emotions. So it's very key for processing your emotions. And the best way to think about it is a gatekeeper. So emotions can open and close this gate and allows information to travel through the brain for learning. Okay. So there's emotions that close this gate and there's emotions that open it. So we're going to go through what are the emotional states that close the gate. One is anxiety, which, I think everybody can go, yeah, that would close my gate. Stress. And, you ever say, oh, I'm so stressed out, I can't even think straight. That's because you can't think straight. Again, your amygdala is closed, your gatekeeper, it's closed. Boredom, they're fiddling with their shoelaces. Their gate is closed. Feeling alienated, isolated, that closes the amygdala. And of course, fear, right? All those things close the gatekeeper and it blocks us from learning. And not only children, this is true for adults. This is just how the brain works. So now let's talk about the gatekeeper and what emotional states opens the gate. So feeling emotionally secure. So I don't want to miss anything. I'll get my notes out. So, we were feeling, if you're feeling anxious, the opposite of that is now feeling emotionally secure and feeling confident. That opens the gate. Instead of feeling stressed, you're feeling comfortable, but stimulated, right? Inspired or challenged. And of course, instead of being bored, you're joyful, exuberant, happy, excited. These are all opening up the gateway for learning in your brain. And of course, instead of feeling isolated or alienated, you feel connected and welcomed. And of course, the last one is instead of that feeling of fear, you feel physically safe, both mentally and physically. So when our brains
Hey,
are
Cynthia,
open,
can I chime in for a second?
absolutely.
So you something you said, just like, actually, I had to reach over and grab a piece of paper to jot it down. You were talking about the importance of being confident. I
Yeah.
think it was emotionally secure, which is that confidence. And I think about how, my kids, I immediately thought of routines and procedures, because my kids come in every day and they're confident and know, because they know exactly what to do in our classroom. They know how to come in and put away their stuff. They know to greet me. They know they can get breakfast. They know they can work in their journal. They can read books. They know how to go to centers. They know all of these things. And so it gives to them that confidence. So we're already, we're starting the day. And as our day flows, they have that confidence. And so I think about, that's an easier something that we could all look at as teachers. Like, how can we implement some things in our classroom when it comes to expectations and procedures and routines that help make our kids a little bit more confident as they start, especially first thing in the morning when they start the day. And so finding some ways to build that confidence in the classroom, consistency, right, gives them that confidence. We know kids love structure. They thrive on structure and routine, which builds that confidence. And so that's going to help that gate open.
Yeah, that's good. I've got a question from the audience too. I want to read to you. It says, what are some of the best ways to support colleagues who are having a difficult time emotionally?
I think be there. I think number one, just be a safe space where someone can come to you and talk and vent and know that you're going to just listen and be safe, and be a safe place that you're going to keep their confidence. And when possible, just do something. This is something that me and Jason have unfortunately learned the hard way, because when we both have lost our moms, is just do something, take action. So if you have a colleague that's struggling, bring them a coffee, bring them a piece of chocolate, buy them a gift card to a Mexican restaurant so they can get a margarita. But do something, like take some action, and that's, I think if we all did a little bit more of that, I think that could help a lot too. But just be there to listen, be there to be a shoulder to cry on, and just take some action and do something. Even a note. It doesn't even have to cost any money.
Right.
Like just write a nice note and drop it in their room or in their mailbox.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, a little piece of chocolate brings me some joy. So yeah, a cup of
Right?
coffee, some chocolate. Those are great little things to help make people smile, right? And make a
Right.
difference. What
And
we got?
I think that's the key tonight. I think that we want is that this is simple, right?
Yeah,
There's so many simple things that we can do to open the gates. Dropping off a piece of chocolate, or Kayla, if you're listening, mine is a Reese cup, and so that just can help open those gates.
yeah. No, that's a great point. Very simple and very kind of easy to do. And even for not only colleagues, but the kids, little treats like that to make them smile as well. Do we have another
Yeah.
question? I've got another question, Greg. So how do you build
Okay.
the confidence when the students won't follow that routine that is set in place and that I have had visuals for since day one?
I mean, it's just lots and lots and lots of practice. And I know I know that sounds cliche and obvious, but it is. It's practice, 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 and positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement. Acknowledging the parts that they're doing right. Have conversations. Just okay. So listen, everybody thinks my kids are perfect. Let me tell you, y'all, we lined up to go to lunch today 4 times. We were almost 10 minutes late because they would not get in line and not talk. And so that's the other thing is if we don't do a procedure right, we're going to stop, talk about it. And I asked them, I say, okay, what happened? And they're like, we were talking. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, but we're supposed to get in line quietly. And I'm like, okay, so what are we going to do? And so like, it took us 4 times, but we got there because I held them to that expectation. They know that the follow through is there because they know we're not going to go to lunch until we line up quietly. And so it's that consistency, that practice, that follow through, but it's also, I think, hold them accountable and make them talk to you about it and ask, have them explain, this is what we did, here's how we can fix it.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Any other questions?
Here's one, but you might address it.
Okay. All right. So let's keep going. So all these things that we talked about, opening our brains, and so when our brains are open, here's some neurological imaging reveals these improvements. So I'm going to go through the improvements of these emotions when we use them in our classrooms and in our lives. Here's what we can see the results with the kids. So they're noticing there's better focus, enhanced working memory, improved reading and writing. That's nice. Increased decision-making abilities, more flexible thinking, which stimulates creative ideas for problem solving and the kids to be able to think, out of the box. And here's something: enhanced social behaviors of helpfulness, sociability, and patience. I thought that was real interesting. So this is the neurological imaging. These are the results. And when we are practicing things that open up the gate. Now, we wanted to talk about, and so Greg will continue to jump in, is so what lesson techniques can we use to create these positive emotional states in the classroom? In addition to what we've already talked about. So let's kind of go through these. One is bringing novelty and surprise into the classroom. I know, Greg, you've got some free things that you've done you could share.
Try reading
Oh
this.
yeah, I mean, this is one of my favorites. And the thing is, novelty and surprise doesn't have to be over the top. It doesn't have to be this big production. The amazing thing about working with kids, especially early childhood, but even older kids, is that they love surprises, and the littlest things can surprise them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love to wear costumes. Like that's my thing, and so that's my way of bringing novelty in. We just did last week, the last couple of weeks, we were in math. We did comparing numbers, and so I bought several years ago. I bought an alligator onesie, and so when we do comparing numbers, I dress up in my alligator onesie. Super simple.
It's hilarious.
I put it on and walk out, and my kids they go crazy for it. We do we a couple years ago, I bought on Amazon cost me $40, bought a balloon art kit, and I've used it for like 3 years. It takes me like an hour after school to make a balloon art and set it up in the hallway or in my room. The kids come in and they go crazy, and it's just balloons. Like,
Oh,
and so
I thought you,
novelty.
I'm sorry. I thought you said you did balloon art. So I'm imagining you like making animals with the kids out there.
No, no,
passing.
no. I'm not.
Okay.
No, no. And so just, it can be such little things, and that, like kids are just easily surprised, and they love that. They love anything new, or anything they perceive as new, right? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
just, think of little things that you can do, that bring some surprise and novelty into your classroom. And I would love to see some people drop some ideas that they have in the chat. Like I would love to see what other people do for that novelty and surprise. The other day we had a work day on Friday, and I was cleaning and organizing the room, and I found 3 packages of different colored ink pens. I opened them, I put them in our supply center, and I told the kids that when they are working in centers or in their journals, they can use ink pens. Like totally like rocked their little world. And so just something as simple as letting them use ink pens.
Yeah. I love the age. It's everything's there's so much wonder and magical, right? So you really have such a fantastic opportunity to get the kids excited. Let's go to the next one. Lesson technique number 2, positive and emotional experiences. Anything off the top of your head you can think of on that one?
Hello, we end every day with a dance party for that very reason. I mean, what else? What could be more positive than a dance party at the end of the day? And so that's what we do. And that's the whole idea behind our dance party.
Yeah.
Is I want my kids at the end of the day, no matter what our day was like, no matter what challenges we had, no matter how frustrating or whatever the day was,
Yeah.
I want the day to end on a happy, positive note. And I
Yeah.
want them to walk out of that classroom laughing and smiling and feeling good. And so every single day we end with a dance party. We have LED lighting in our room. So, that's another novelty and surprise. Put up some strips of LED lights. You can do a whole lot with those lights. So in our dance party, we turn the music up. We turn our classroom lights off. I turn the LED lights on, and so they're flashing. And so we basically turn our classroom into a club, and we have a dance party. And so we end every day ends with a dance party. And so they walk out of the door happy, and excited to come back.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. The dancing releases endorphins. So we need to end the workday. Maybe the teachers, we should have our own little dance party at the end, or dance with the kids, because I know I always feel great afterwards. So I love that idea. Do we have another question? Is that?
Can Greg share the music list?
Oh, they want to know, can you share your music list? Do you have any top favorite songs that you have in your?
Yeah, so we actually have our playlist on our website at the kindergartensmorgasbord.com. You can type in playlist and you can find a blog post about it.
Oh, great.
But anything Nick Jonas or Jonas Brothers is going to show up on our playlist. And my kids know. My kids know that.
Yeah, I think you even said, unless you're dying or your arm chopped off or one of the Jonas Brothers walks in, they can't bother you, right?
No. It can't be any of the Jonas Brothers. It has to
Oh,
be Nick
okay, I
Jonas.
got
If
you.
Nick Jonas walks in, then they can come bother me.
Gotcha. All right, let's go to lesson technique number 3. Physical movement. Okay, well, dancing definitely does that.
Dancing,
But
yeah.
you got any additional one?
I mean, somebody earlier mentioned brain breaks. So pulling up a brain break, Cuckoo Kangaroo on YouTube or Go Noodle, just giving them a couple of minutes to get up and move. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be a brain break. Like
Right.
even getting them up to get supplies. Like, so let's say like today we did a read aloud and we were getting ready to work on a story map. And so I said, okay, I need you to get up. You need to get your clipboard, your pencil, your crayons, right? And so everybody gets up, they're moving, they're walking, they're talking, they get all this stuff and they come back. So they've had, a minute of movement. Then we can go into working on our story map. So brain breaks, Go Noodle, Jack Hartman, Cuckoo Kangaroo, but
Right.
also just moving as you're learning as well, getting them up to with the singing and dancing to do your letter songs, your number songs, your counting songs, those kinds of things.
Right.
So anything you can do to just get them moving.
Well, that you talked about the brain break. Dr. Judy, she even talks about just 3 minutes moving, doing something different, kind of helps reset your mind, and which again is probably good for adults too. Just stepping out, get some fresh air, get a break.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, let's go to what
we see that with Adeline. Like if she's having a meltdown, like
yeah.
Jason can take her from me and she'll calm down, or I can take her and step outside and that will calm her down. It's just that change, that something new, something different,
Yes.
and it really helps.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I've seen the same thing.
Mhm.
So let's go to lesson technique number 4. Art, music, and games. We do a lot on that one. I know you do a lot with games, and I think we're actually going to show a video of you doing some games.
Yeah.
But
I'm also a huge proponent of art. And we get this question a lot, like, how do you get away with that? And it's because it's what the kids need. Like art is so powerful for our kids. And so, and not only is it fine motor skills, listening, following directions, sequencing, all of that, but it gives them such an opportunity to create, to express themselves, to build that language. And so we love art. We try to do it's a little, our schedule is a little hard this year, but we're doing 2 to 3 art projects a week still. And so directed drawings are fantastic. We love directed drawings. I'm trying to think, we're getting ready for St. Patrick's Day. We do this really cute Shamrock where you give them actual newspaper, and they paint the newspaper green, and then they cut out their shamrock and they glue it on their paper, and they cut out letters that spell good luck. And so that's really cute. We do a lot of we'll do our handprint shamrock. So they paint their hands and they make a shamrock with their hands. Also love anything feet related. So like we do a lot of feet painting, which I know it's so funny because it's like people are like, oh, I love feet painting. And then other people are like, oh my God, never. So the kids love it when we paint their feet. Directed drawings, I know some people have mentioned those. You can find them just by Googling. Making slime, any kind of science experiments are a great way. But yeah, art, we love art. I would do art every day with my kids if I can make it happen.
Yeah, no, I love art too. And again, we're even using all these different learning modalities too. Let's go to lesson technique number 5, engaging technology. And of course, I'm real passionate about this one because there's engaging technology, and then there's the technology that I call stare and peck. That's to me very isolated. So I'm very big into the whole collaborative, engaging tech. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Greg, but
yeah. Well, this came up in a teacher Facebook group the other day. Somebody had asked, is there any research about kids using laptops in the classroom and all of that? What my question is, my question this year is, if this learning gap exists because our kids were virtual and staring at computer screens all year last year, or for part of the year, whatever, why are we bringing them back into my classroom and forcing them to be on a computer for an hour? Wouldn't it be better for me to be doing art with them for an hour, or pulling small groups for that hour? So that's my thing. I agree 100% with you. Engaging technology,
Right.
I'm all in, because
Right.
you know I love my letters alive.
Right.
But having them sit and click on a computer all day,
Yeah.
it wasn't beneficial last year. It's not beneficial this year. So
Yeah. I'm with you.
I need them to close their computer.
Yeah, that's I think we're unusual, and I think people are going to see that with some of the videos later on, is that how I call it collaborative tech. You know, it's the teacher's right in the middle with the kids, and those are your kids actually in the picture that everybody's staring at right now.
Yes.
Well, I think responding.
Those are my March 2020 kids.
Right.
The kids who I hugged on a Wednesday in March of
Oh,
2020.
right.
And
Right.
that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. All right, let's keep on going here. And then collaboration. Obviously using that is our final lesson technique. All right, we're going to go jump into some videos. And we've got a little activity for you guys out there in the audience. When you start seeing the videos that we're going to be showing and Greg's going to be showing, type in the chat what lesson techniques that you're seeing. Are you seeing novelty and surprise? You're seeing games? Just go ahead and just type. It'll be kind of fun to, let us know what you're seeing. So I think, Greg, the first one we've got here, got some kind of bobsled thing. So you want to talk about that before I hit the play button?
Yeah. So I love the Olympics. I love the Summer Olympics. I love the Winter Olympics. I love them. And so every 2 years when we get to pull in the Olympics, I'm super excited. And so I always make sure we do the Olympics in our classroom. And so for the winter, we did the measurement Olympics. And so one of our events for the measurement Olympics was the bobsled. And so this is the kindergarten version of the bobsled. And so I'd be curious. Oh, look, I'm already seeing a whole bunch of
yeah, they're already
collaboration. Yes. All right. So this is
all right, here we go.
Kindergarten bobsled.
Here we go. She was struggling to push him a little bit.
But you know what? And so that's when he started to struggle, that's when they started to cheer him on. And so you see that collaboration. You think about like that positive emotional support. And so we're learning about the Olympics, but we're also pulling in science and push and pull and forces. And so teamwork. And then we could talk about a little bit of the physics with the weight, and like, was it easier if you pushed or pulled? Like, there's so much happening in that lesson, and clearly we're having a whole lot of fun.
Right. Yeah. Your gates were wide open.
Open.
And you've got to be having fun too, right? I mean,
I'm having a blast.
Yeah, it's kind of relieving your own stress. Just get baskets and push them around. The principal might not,
because but the thing is, everything we were doing was meeting a standard.
Absolutely.
And so, but of course, at the end, like, I'm cracking up, I'm cheering for them because it's so fun to watch. They're so into it. But then at the end, they want me to have a turn. And
really?
I picked I'm like, okay, I'm getting in this basket and somebody's going to push me. And then of course, that's like, that opens their gates way up because they love that.
Right.
And that's another thing. Get involved. Like, get in there and get involved and do it with them. Like, the thing is, if we expect our kids to come in every day and take these risks and do these things, we need to do it too.
Well,
like, if I want you to get in, go ahead.
I was going to just say that makes that connectedness to you, right? And if they seem to want, the more they get to know you, the more you're involved, whether you're eating lunch with them or getting in a basket, they become more connected and they tend to want to listen, and I guess please you a little bit more. Would you say that's true?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's the relationships, right? Like we all know building relationships 100%. That's the foundation of everything that we do in our classrooms. And so getting involved with them, eating lunch with them, laying on the floor and coloring with them, all of that just builds that relationship. And, you know, pulls in, again, you're opening that gate, because then they feel safe, right? They feel they have that comfort. They feel safe in that space. And so
Right.
that opens that gate.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, so this one I believe is building a snowman.
Yes. So this one is one, we've done this one for a couple of years, but this is something that can be used for any skill, and you can use it for any theme. So this one is, do you want to build a snowman? We did it back in December. We used it. We made a reindeer. I do it in the spring when we do our space unit. I turned it into a Martian. And so, like, you could do this for anything. And we're doing sight words, but you could do letters, sounds. You could do vocabulary, math, any kind of math skill. This is something fourth grade would love, right? Because it's basically basketball is what it is. But you put a new spin on it, so it's novel. So it's basketball, but in this version, we're trying to throw snowballs into Olaf. And so the question I ask my kids is, do you want to build a snowman? And so that's what we're trying to do.
Right. All right, I'm gonna hit play so you guys can start putting in the chat. What are you seeing?
Do you want to build a snowman? Yeah! Here we go. First word. What word? We. Let's use our sounds. What? E. We. What word? We. All right, Allison, you're the birthday girl. Oh, so close. All right. Remember, your hands are in your lap. Here's your next word. Not. Let's use our sounds. Not. What word? Not. What word? Not. Alexa, our boss of the day. Oh.
There you go. So there's a lot happening in there.
Yeah. And there's also music in this one, because I know this is a very edited version, but in the beginning of this, they started singing. If you go on our Facebook, you can see the whole video. They all started singing, do you want to build a snowman? And so we're pulling in that music as well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. All right, let's keep going. So this Letters Alive. So why don't you go ahead and speak about this one, Mr. Greg?
So Letters Alive is from our friends at Alive Studios. And if you've followed us for a while, you know that Letters Alive is one of our favorite things in our classroom. We use it at the beginning of the year for ABC Boot Camp. We use it throughout the year to review our letters and sounds, to do word building. And what I love about it is that it's technology, but it's interactive. It's highly engaging. It's just amazing technology. And I know when I first met Cynthia and Faith, we met at a conference because I kept hearing this elephant. This elephant was so loud. And after 4 days of hearing this elephant, I wanted the elephant to be quiet. And so I wandered around until I found where this elephant was coming from. And when Faith showed me what this technology was, I immediately said, I want this in my classroom, because it blew my mind. And I'm like, if it blows my mind, it's going to rock these kids' world. And that's what it does. And so you can see just how much the kids get into this technology.
Yeah, we'll show a little clip. Here's the good news. We're giving this away tonight. So we're giving Letters Alive away to some lucky, attendee. So, all right, so let's see it in action.
What is it? Everybody say horse. Horse. What sound? What sound? So we have a horse. What letter? What letter? What letter? What letter? Listen.
What sound? All right, here's your video. And I want to hear my good readers. We're going to read these sentences.
The is little.
Oh. All right, listen.
The horse is little.
Your turn.
The horse is little.
What was this thing called? Do you remember? Pepe. Oh, what was it?
A period.
And when we see the period, what do we do?
Stop.
Yeah. I never get tired of watching that with your kids, right? Novelty and surprise. Yeah, exciting. Yeah, they're definitely, their brains they're opening.
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
and you're pulling in, not only are we doing letters and sounds, but we're learning, 95% of my kids are EL, so we're learning vocabulary. We're learning concepts of print. We're talking about a sentence. We're talking about punctuation. And I can tell you, if I go into my classroom tomorrow, pull up Letters Alive and drop that horse card on there, I'm going to get the same reaction every time. Even though they know, especially, the first 26 days of school, like it's amazing, it like rocks their world. But even after we use it all year long, they still go crazy for that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. All right, awesome. Let's go to the next one. Math Live. And as a student, I was always terrible at math. So I always get it. I crack up when I watch this video. So do you want to say anything before I click the video?
Okay. I told Cynthia the other night, like the only reason I still let her use this video is because it's just such a good video. You can't help, the quality's terrible. Like it was before, like I have my old smart board, like the video quality is terrible. It's just terrible, but the content of this video is amazing. And this is why this is called Math Alive, because it's bringing these math skills to life in a way that we can't. And so that's what I love about this. And just the kids, the way they react to this is amazing.
Yeah. All right, let's play it.
2 is less than 7.
Yeah.
What happens if we do what?
If we touch the wrong one.
Well, Luis, why don't you go do the wrong one to see what happens?
It's gonna be something scary. Oh.
Touch it.
Oh.
Now, Luis, do the right answer.
2 is less than 8.
Yeah, it's when you couldn't see the first time, but it's when the alligator jumps like and eats the number, right? Oh my gosh.
Right. And so it brings, it just cracks me up that they're so engaged, and the way they're hugging each other to comfort each other because they're scared of the alligator it cracks me up. And so, but it's such a visual, powerful way for them to see that idea of comparing numbers. Now, I know somebody's going to get mad at us for teaching them Greater Gator, right? But you can teach them Greater Gator with Amos the alligator, but then you're also pulling in the symbols, and 2 is less than 8. So you're pulling that all in, but you're using that novelty and that surprise with the alligator to teach math skills.
Right. And we learned with the brain science about comfortable but stimulated, right? So those kids, they're kind of scared, but in a very fun way. And that's exactly what Dr. Judy's talking about, to stimulate that your amygdala to open. So they're very open to learn math. And that's what I needed as a kid, a lot of it.
Right.
But
and I was like, I think back to my high school geometry teacher, who was just terrifying. And like my gate was not open. Like that was not the kind of fear that I needed. But you could see, like, you could tell that they were a little scared, but they were also so into it and so excited, and they wanted to know what that alligator was going to do. And so, yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
This is still one of my favorites.
Yeah, me too. I never get tired of this one. All right, awesome. Okay, so let's keep going. So one of the things I wanted to say, we're going to show, we put together this 2-minute montage of Classrooms Live. This is all the Live Studios resources, all of the 2 minutes. And inside, you're going to see rugs alive, actual rug that comes alive. Greg is another one of Greg. You have this rug in there, and the kids realize later that the rug actually comes alive. You'll see a little bit of that in the video. And Journals Alive, which the journals with a free app, the animals and letters come alive out of that. And we're going to give those away tonight. We've got a Math Alive and Letters Alive journals, twin packs that we're going to give away. So make sure you stay tuned for that. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and play this. And you can look for all the different emotional, states in this video. So why are these kids so excited? Well, we at Alive Studios have created a cast of 26 zoo animals that come to life through the power of 3D augmented reality. Teachers and kids around the country love it. Our zoo-themed supplemental curriculum utilizes brain science to engage students, to help accelerate learning and improve outcomes. So check out these incredible results and the Alive Studios programs that teachers use to achieve these gains in student learning.
Big. G. G. J. B. At. Bat. Swim. Jump.
Look at those feathers.
White. Blue.
5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sphere.
So that's all the Alive Studios resources in a nutshell. And somebody just asked the question, could you use it for virtual? Absolutely. We didn't realize how powerful it was virtually until COVID hit. And Greg, you used it virtually. You might, I don't know if you want to share this a minute or two.
Yeah, so I used it when we were virtual. So I just pulled it up and this is just a TV behind me. And so when I taught from home, I would just pull it up on my TV and we would use it. And I saw somebody ask if you needed a smart board. You don't, because I just used it on my TV. And so you can manipulate it from your laptop, and you needed, it comes with the document camera. And so, yeah, it worked great. The kids loved it. And it was a great tool virtually. Great way to engage them, because we know how hard it was to engage them virtually. And so that was a powerful way to engage them virtually.
Yeah. And you can also do it virtually by just hooking our kit and document camera right into your teacher laptop that has Zoom, and you don't even need a TV or anything. It's just live. The kids will just see it right on their computers at home. So there's actually two ways you can do it. And as far as being in the classroom, you can have a projector TV, interactive whiteboard, just so the kids can see it, really, really big if they're live. So a couple of things. Also wanted to mention to everybody, You can use ESSER funds if there's a lot of funding right now with ESSER funds. All of our stuff qualifies for ESSER funds. So you might want to talk to your administration if this is something you think that would be helpful for you and your kiddos.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Cynthia, can you just briefly like explain what ESSER funds are? Because not everybody might not know.
Yeah. So it's money that came from the government for COVID. And it's if they're looking for, if it's evidence-based, technology usage, after school, during school, summer programs, and help with learning loss. Those are kind of if it fits in those categories, there's funding that your schools can use to help get these resources into your classroom. And so we wanted you to be aware of it because we know funding has always been a challenge to help us with the teachers in the classroom. So I would definitely talk to your principal, assistant principals about ESSER fundings, and can you get these Alive Studios resources like Letters Alive into your classroom to help you out. And I think Greg even said it's so simple to even implement. I mean, you've mentioned that a few times.
I mean, you just plug it in and drop those cards. If you can plug in a document camera and install your software, you can open your box and start using it the same day.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's super easy to use. And you guys, it comes with great training information and all of that. But yeah, it's super easy to use and implement in the classroom.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point to where we even turned it into a center. And so the kids will actually come up and do word building using the Letters Alive as an independent center.